back in Northern California. So
Okay.
yeah. It's
So
cool.
guys, you guys know this guy at the bottom of your screen. It's gonna be Rob from Should I Smoke This?
Rob, I finally get to say hello, kind of in person.
Yeah, I told Innocent that I'm literally like basically too busy to do this today because I have all these orders to ship and then I have to go live with Sanj in a little bit. But I was like,
Hey,
I gotta
appreciate
stop
it.
in and say hi to Jon.
I appreciate you. And before we went live on this thing, I said, God, Rob's going to be on. That's so cool. Cause I just sent him a package. I'm not sure you got it or not, but cause usually you send me an email. I'm like, I hope he didn't move or anything.
Yeah,
like that.
I know. I tagged you on social media and literally was so busy otherwise that like
That's
never
fine,
even
man.
sent the email yet.
All good, man.
I put it all up on the car there. It was nice, but yeah, I had to stop in because I mean I need to meet you one day in person just to say thank you for being one of the most genuine people I've ever met in the industry. Ask Sanj. I've told him 1,000 times because I'm pretty strange. I've been like doing cigar media a long time, and now I do all this e-commerce stuff. I basically don't care to meet anybody in the industry, short of the few people that I've met. I said if there's any one person I actually want to sit down and talk to, it's Jon Huber because he's one of the most. So here's the thing. And I've said this to you in email, but I'll say it on here because this is a better forum to say it. To me, there's, it's one thing to have a good product. There are plenty of brands that have a good product, but the fact that you have such a genuine passion for it, and then on top of that, you've actually never even met me, but you're such a genuine person, and even on some personal things, you've been so personable and cared for what reason I don't know. I guess you're just a good person. That it's like that to me, even if Crowned Heads were to start slipping a bit, which it hasn't, everybody watching it has absolutely not. I said today to Innocent that Crowned Heads honestly doesn't miss. But even if it were to, I'd still support the brand just because of you. And that's a huge thing. I can't say that about almost any other brand.
I appreciate that, man. Being a good human being is obviously more important than delivering a good cigar when it comes down to it, really. You know what I mean? It's just, I don't know, man. It's just my nature. Like I remember when you and I talked about some things you were going through, and I could empathize, and I don't know. That's just my nature of trying to reach out and like, for lack of a better descriptive, touch somebody and just say, hey, whatever. That's the reason I've sent that package. I'm like, man, for some reason you were on my mind. I'm like, I haven't sent anything to Rob. I hope he's doing good. How's his dog? Da, 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 da. And
and I got to tell you, I appreciate every time I get a package from you. I appreciate the hell out of it. Because I enjoy all the cigars thoroughly. That's why I try to post them as much as I can, even if I've reviewed them. Because you've said since day one, it's not. I don't want reviews, and it's one of the brands that I enjoy the most. So I'm happy to promote it. And even at the shop, and Innocent will tell you because he's always here. Outside of Sanj's stuff, because he's killing it with the price point and the quality right now. One of the first places I walk anybody to out of his thousands of facings here is the Crowned Heads spot, because there's so many cigars. Even people are rediscovering here at his shop the La Imperiosa, which I love because he somehow, I guess because he had gotten other Crowned Head stuff, he filled the facings for La Imperiosa with other stuff. For like 2 years we didn't have that. So we finally got it back in, and I had to re-explain to everybody how good it is, and now now
people are rediscovering it again. We've had a few things like that, actually. I posted a thing on social media like a week or two ago, and I said I kind of wonder if Las Mareas was like our Paul's Boutique. And by that I meant because I remember when this is going back before either one of you were probably born, but Beastie Boys had released an album called License to Ill. It was huge. It was a big thing, right? And then their follow-up album was Paul's Boutique, which at the time just completely tanked. Nobody got it. Nobody understood it. And now, 30 years later or whatever, it's regarded as like this grail album that can never be replicated again. One of the best hip hop albums that, reinvented sampling, blah, blah, blah. And I kind of feel like that was like Marias. And we've had a few like that where we put it out, like it just doesn't get traction. And then all of a sudden, 7 or 8 years later, everybody's like, oh, bring that back. It's so good. Bring it back. That ship has already sailed, So we've had a few.
Luminosa too. That was yours, wasn't it?
That it still is, but our portfolio got so wide that we just kind of made a conscious decision probably right before the pandemic to just really hyper focus on like maybe 4 or 5 brands and like put everything else on hiatus, not necessarily discontinue, but put it on hiatus. So like Headley Grange, JD Howard, Luminosa, Moraes was discontinued. So we really can focused a little bit more the
By the way,
portfolio.
So I'm not ignoring you. I'm reaching.
Yeah, no. Go do your thing.
I actually have one of these on the site still, and I can't believe I found this. I was digging around in the
19s, baby.
Yeah, I was digging around in
Yeah.
Sandra's humidor and found a box of 19s.
That's another one that flew under the radar. I thought that blend was so good. I really, I still do.
I know.
But-
I can't tell you how much I'm trying to keep myself from just taking it off the site and buying it, and that's probably what I'm going to do.
What size is it? Which size do you have there?
This is the LC46.
Oh, brilliant. They got to be, that's what, 4 years now? That thing's got to be just perfect.
Yep.
I know.
Do you have any left?
No. I mean, I think I have I've kept like a couple of single sticks just so that annually I could shoot the lineup, I think, but I don't even know if I have the 19. There was a couple that were missing this year. And then this year's version, the 23 of the broadleaf is actually, it's leaving Nicaragua on Saturday. So we should have it here in the building Wednesday or Thursday of next week. And that's when it'll start shipping out. So, and no sooner we get that in, than we go to the trade show and open another can of worms. So it's really kind of crazy here at this time of year, this week. In fact, we've got shipments coming from my father, we've got shipments coming from Noxa, and we've got a shipment coming from TLA. And then we're having to air freight some stuff up for the PCA. And then we've already shipped the booth. I mean, it's just,
It's a full schedule.
It's just nuts, man. I'm just like, there's not enough hours in the day. So, but anyway.
Denison, I kind of took over your stuff here. Look,
You didn't take over, Rob. First of all,
Feel free to throw-
You know,
throw
my
in
show
there.
is your show, so I don't know how you playing.
I'm sorry. I don't even see you on screen because I'm on the phone. So it's just me and John having a conversation.
That's fine. That's perfect. I got no problem with that. I got no problem with that at all, Rob. You know that.
That's fun. It's just a friendly chat, man. I'm so stoked that you were on this thing though, for real. Because I was like, at first, I don't even think I was supposed to do this because Miguel was going to do it, and then he popped out to Canada to do a series of events, and he says, "Can you do this?" And I'm like, "I don't even know what it is." So I'm like, I just hit yes, and then I didn't hear nothing, and then here we are. So I'm glad it all worked out. Very serendipitous. That's cool.
Hey, listen, I told Innocent, I said I do, because he said about hopping on a podcast on Friday. I was like, with the workload I have and the fact that I'm already going to be doing a live stream today, I was like, no. He's like, I want you to meet John Huber. I'm like, I'm in.
Thank you, man. Thank you. Well, if you ever find yourself in Nashville or the PCA or any of that kind of stuff, by all means.
My mom was there recently, and I was like, shit, because I mean, it was like a girls' trip. She went with my sister and a few other people.
Okay.
And I was like, damn, because I wanted to literally come out there so I could check it out. I mean, I wouldn't obviously just show up, but I would have.
Why not? Everybody else does.
I was like, shit. So actually, believe it or not, even though I played music forever and toured, and somehow, I guess maybe because of the genres we were playing, we never really hit Nashville. So out of all of the country that and all the stages I've been on, I've never even been over there. So I want to check out the city, let alone check out the Crown Heads facility. So I got to come out there at some point. It's not even that far if I wanted to do a day drive. I mean, I don't mean day drive and then drive home, but
Rob, boys trip, Rob.
That would be great. I mean, unless we can't take my car because we can only fit a maximum of 2 people in it.
Yeah.
And it would cost about $900 in gas. But if we don't take my car, we'd be fine.
Hey, we can get a rental. It's fine.
Although if we take my car, we can get there a lot faster.
A lot faster.
With a couple of tickets along the way, I'm assuming, something like that.
Yeah.
Somehow I don't have any wood to knock on. I have not got any tickets in this car yet. All of my other Mustangs, I've wasted a lot of money.
Serious. That's funny. That's funny.
Yep.
Well, there is. No, go ahead. Go on.
No, go ahead, John. You were saying something. I didn't want to cut you off. Sorry about that.
No, I was just going to say there isn't really much to tour or see here, but people that now that Nashville is getting a lot more tourism, people that actually enjoy cigars say, "Oh, Crown Heads there," and they'll just show up at the door and go, "Hey, I came by for a tour," and I'm like, "See this office, that conference room, and that warehouse? You've seen the tour. Congratulations."
Listen, if there's Crown Head cigars there, I'm assuming
Yes. Yeah, a
John Hubert
lot.
had a conversation with, and if you have a couple of longboards, I heard you talking about skating.
I do.
Before,
I do.
I'm in. Because I mean,
Yeah.
I actually was never big on what I call classic skate because I was terrible at tricks for some reason. So I spent a lot of time failing at a lot of that stuff. But once I got into longboarding, oh my God,
It's
push
fun.
culture was like, it was my thing for a long time. Like the
Yeah.
Boston store in Brooklyn when it was there was like my candy shop. I can't tell you how many different boards I bought, how many disciplines I got into. I spent so much money. Of course, around here, it's a tough skate. Like I don't know if either of you have ever heard of it, but they used to do, I don't know if they still do it. They used to do Broadway Bomb. It's a race. It's a 8.5 mile race up Broadway in traffic. It's not a sanctioned event. They don't close Broadway. So this is Broadway in the middle of the day, and you race from which park is it down there all the way to the Bronze Bull in the financial district.
Wow.
And last time I did it, there was over 1,000 of us, and
Wow.
it's dangerous as fuck, and it is one of the funnest times I have ever had. I used to also go to Tasty Tuesdays where we would meet up at night in Central Park and we'd skate Central Park.
Oh,
and
fun, man.
That was also because also I'd get off the train and we'd actually ride to Central Park in traffic through Manhattan, then do Tasty Tuesday, push all the way back to the train. It was, I stopped.
That sounds like a blast.
Oh, it was amazing. I stopped in the last 5 or so years because, I'm not old, but I'm 37 now, and I felt like I'm not in the position right now, life-wise, to be like, fuck it if I break something. I was like, and around here, there's really, the roads and stuff suck, so there's a lot, there's a good chance of hurting yourself. So I was like, all right, I'll give this up for now. But if I was over there, I'd love to kick around a little.
The trick is that if you think about getting hurt, you're going to get hurt. But if you just don't even pay attention, that's the difference when we're kids versus adults. Like kids don't have fear, they don't
at all.
That's the difference.
The big problem here was sometimes it's about your circle that you're riding with, right? So
yeah,
I honestly wanted to push, carve, relax, put on some headphones, maybe get into dancing, which I never did. For innocent, if you don't know, that's not actually dancing. It's you use like a 65+ inch longboard and you literally move the board while you carve. Like you move around on the board while you carve, but the board is kind of not doing much, and it's really just awesome. But the people I was riding with, it was all about advanced slides. It was eventually I started getting into downhill shit, so I started dabbling in that a little bit. So we were getting into the extremes where you could get like seriously hurt. So it wasn't even about like traffic, because when I'd go out by myself, I'd put on headphones and just have a nice time and ride 20 miles that way, 20 miles back. But the friends I was riding with, like we were doing stuff like going over to Brookdale at night and bombing from, well, you don't know the street, so I won't bore you, but there's a street up in Montclair that comes down into the park. By the time you get into the park,
oh wow, yeah, and I know exactly what you're talking about.
When you go past the dog park and whatnot.
Oh,
so by the time you get there to where you have to slide into a turn, you're doing about 40. So we were doing shit like that. So it was getting to the point where I was like, all right, the crowd I'm rolling with, they're getting to extreme to the point where people are talking about buying leathers. I'm like,
all right, that's like time out. I'm out.
Yeah, I had a friend Dan who wanted to get into the 55-mile-an-hour club because that's a thing with longboarding too. I'm like, fuck it. No, I'm not trying to go as fast as a car on the highway on my board.
No. I mean, I'm a lot more tame than that. Like we have a walkway. Well, I guess it's like a pathway behind the office. So right behind our loading dock is a parking lot. Across behind that is the Cumberland River. And you could take this path from like this golf course all the way down about 2 miles down the road. It's the Titans training facility. And then
I've seen you skated on Instagram.
That's where I'm skating. Exactly. So
yeah, and see what you're doing there. Not even kidding. If I come over there, I would love to do that with you, because that's what I wanted. I'd like to relax, push, enjoy the atmosphere.
I just put my AirPods on and I just like zone out and then just kind of clear my mind and just, once in a while. I haven't done it in a minute because I've just been so busy here, but I still do enjoy it. We got a couple boards here, and then I got a board at home, and got a couple boards at home that we live kind of like on a hill, so I'll still skate. And they're like, "Oh, look at the old guy skating," or whatever. But it's still fun. So
I remember, and I say this like I'm old, I'm not, but longboarding in this area was not popular until about 2010, 11, it started picking up steam. But when I started, going out there like in Montclair areas around here and longboarding with a couple of friends, people would literally like stop us and be like, "Why is your skateboard so big?"
Oh my God, are you serious?
That's how
funny.
much like longboarding here wasn't a thing until about 2010. And I'm like, it's a longboard. And you have people pull up and be like, do a kick flip. I'm like, it's 50 fucking inches long. Like, no.
Dude, even if you give me a standard board, I couldn't even do an ollie. I never, even when I was growing up in the city, it was transportation. That was all it was, And
yeah, I sucked.
I didn't do anything.
That's the reason I gave up regular skating. Like when I was in high school, I was like, I'm just hitting my shins and falling off of things. I'm not really doing tricks.
I just like to go and just enjoy the ride and just cruise. So that's
it.
still where I'm at. So
now people are cheating with electric longboards.
Wow. I saw that. Who was that dude? God, what was the guy? He sold his company to CNN or something. He had the sunglasses. He did a blog like every day for like a year, and he was writing. What's his name? You know what I'm talking about? Casey
Neistat.
Thank you.
The guy who's ugly as shit. It's the only reason I remember his name.
I remember that guy because he would have this. He had this board that was like electric, and he'd go uphill on it, and he'd go all through the city. And I was like, that's kind of cool. I wouldn't mind taking a look at one of those. But I'm like, what's the
only
point?
Part of that I like is the fact that obviously it breaks. So that because there have been quite a few times where I've had to bail. You try to find grass if you're going too fast.
Yeah.
But you've had to bail, and you're like, I wish I had brakes once in a while. Because I mean, if you know how to slide efficiently, you don't have to worry about it. You just dip into a slide, you're done in a few seconds.
Yeah.
But if you don't have the space to slide and you're doing 30, it's like that's the only time I wished I was on an electric longboard. It's like, I really love that braking function.
Yeah, no doubt. Otherwise, you just got to abort the mission and jump off the thing and whatever.
Yeah, I got some gnarly scars from that, but I'm not going to take up a cigar podcast with that shit.
Yeah, I know. We're like how many minutes in, and all we talked about was skateboards. But that's cool.
Listen, man. Listen. First of all, like this is a podcast, so listen. This is just general conversation, man.
Yeah.
We'll always get back to the cigars, but honestly, this is a better way for people to know just more about Jon. Also, know more about you. I didn't even know you longboarded. I know about your cars.
Yeah, I was into that for a long time. A lot of people now, because of how long it's been since I've been sponsored and everything, don't even know. Well, on the cigar side, don't even know about the music stuff. Is the fact I did that my whole life. Was
the only reason I knew about the music stuff for you is because I remember seeing an interview you did with Pete, and you guys were talking about that common thread that you all had. So that's why I knew you were in the music prior to that.
I was a sponsored touring drummer for quite some time. That's actually why I didn't go to my last year of college. Of course, I realized later this is a whole podcast topic for you at some point, Innocent. But that I wasted, thousands of dollars for stuff that I learned while literally doing the actual job. That there was no point at all to college. So that's why when people go, "Oh, you didn't graduate," I'm like, "No," and thank God. I was actually pursuing a dream, had a much better time, and then it turns out didn't need that piece of paper anyway. So I saved myself on a year. But anyway. That's how I wound up not finishing that year. But even then, there was digital production. Like any music that's ever in any of my videos, I literally made, and it's like a lot of people don't realize that. But when we do our thing, our episode, Innocent, we'll have plenty to talk about. I've been into a lot of stuff.
And Jon, that's kind of how me and Rob really connected, was through music.
Okay.
Because me and Rob we'll grab a cigar. And we'll talk a little bit about cigars, but we'll always talk more about music.
Yeah, I think Innocent was surprised at first about how much I know about hip hop. Because that's the culture I grew up. Even though I played rock and everything on tour, because I grew up with that too. Because I grew up in a musician household. Rock and disco. My dad always had tons of awesome old disco records. But I grew up in hip hop culture. So we started talking about that stuff and.
That's funny. I was the same. I didn't even know what quote unquote rock music was until I moved to LA, went to college and got exposed to other people. But in my neighborhood where I grew up, all you heard was and this is way back before either one of you guys, but all you heard was Parliament, Funkadelic, Bootsy Collins. And And
Amazing.
then, right, and I still listen to that stuff over and over. And like the first album I bought was Parliament Mothership Connection, and I played it over and over and over.
Yeah.
What a great.
And that's
what
what I
a
grew up
great
on.
Yeah.
Yeah.